Back here on SportsLine and back with the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith. It's been so great to have you here
this
this
is
hour.
fun.
It's flown by.
It has.
Now
we go till 10?
What's that?
We go till 10?
Yeah, we'll just do another hour.
Let's do it.
It'll be great. It'll be fine. Let's see what David has to say. Good evening, David. You're on with JB and Mike Keith.
Yeah, hey, JB. Hey, Mike.
What's
Hi,
up?
David.
Mike, you have one of the best calls for a touchdown by a radio personality that I've ever known.
Thank you.
Do you have like post-it notes up, or does all that just come out whenever the Titans score? And I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks for the call. See, another fan of yours.
Well, that was very nice.
One of the many.
It's very kind. No, it just sort of happens. You know, it's.
I've asked you this before when we've had you on the show. I mean, you know, I know it was a long time ago, but there are no flags on the field. It's a miracle. Tennessee has scored on a miracle. What did that do for the Mike Keith brand? I know you're a humble guy, but that put you on the map, and you have not left the map since then.
It was helpful.
That made you. It helped. I shouldn't say it made you who you are, but it certainly helped the Mike Keith brand, did it not?
Much better to be lucky than good. I mean, it was from a professional standpoint, it was obviously a very lucky break, and it's what you dream of too, because the reason you go into this is because you're a sports fan,
right?
Because I love sports. You know, seeing Chris Chambliss hit the home run to win the ALCS in 1976, and I had a chance. The first basketball game I ever attended. Ernie Grunfeld was a sophomore and Bernard King was a freshman, and to see the Ernie and Bernie show, and then to grow up watching Southern football when you had, you know, the Bear Bryant teams and Herschel Walker and
Bo Jackson.
Oh, I mean, just unbelievable. And my family followed sports, and so you understand that.
Sorry, man, I keep
that's
kicking you,
that's okay. That's okay. If you don't like me, you just tell me.
Get out. No.
That's it. If I'm talking too long, I'll stop. But you just. He's great. But you just, as a fan, you remember all of those moments. You remember the greatest sports call ever was Al Michaels in the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team.
Sure.
Do you believe in miracles?
Yes.
And when those moments happen, you remember them. And to think that I got to call one.
It wasn't just one, though. It was the greatest sports moment in the history of this city.
Well, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was. I mean, how lucky is that?
Yeah.
That's all you can say. And when people, I had somebody in Memphis 2 nights ago telling the story about they didn't leave, and I love hearing every story. I will stop and listen to every story that somebody tells me.
And
about.
they were all there.
They were, but he was telling. I mean, he had a very specific story, and his wife had gone out or something, and I mean, it was a whole thing, and it was just fantastic. and so, as a sports fan, it's really more exciting that I got. This sounds crazy, but it's more exciting that I got to see it than I got to call it, and to have it be the franchise that I work for, and the fan base that I love so much, have it be something that they enjoy. It's beyond
But
that.
did you know at the time that it would be such an iconic call?
I didn't even know what I said until 30 minutes after the game. I went to get a Coke, and I'm standing there thinking, what did I say? Because honestly, I was just so happy we won.
Sure.
That moment was so big for our franchise because we had worked so hard for a year and a half leading up to that. Because I mean, listen, John, you weren't here at the time, so you don't quite remember all of it. But not everybody was sure this was going to work.
Right.
We weren't sure we would sell that game out. You know, and fortunately, our fans came through for us. That season, we kind of sold out as we went, and then we got to that game, and suddenly, you know, we sold out the playoff game. So we hope we go to the playoffs. We sell out every game at home. We sell out the playoff game, and we get to host a playoff game that we have blown. Yeah. We led that game. We blew the lead. We came back. We scored with a minute 48 to go. We had it won, and then we blew it again.
Right.
And then to win it. And then to have that lead to a win at Indianapolis and a third win against Jacksonville, and then the Super Bowl that was so exciting. I mean, it was the most magical 22 days that you could ever imagine. Not just as a broadcaster, but as a Titans employee and just as a fan. I mean, it had all of that caught up in it. So the memory of that, for me, is the whole experience. And that's why when somebody starts to tell me that story, I just smile because I'm dying to hear the stories, and some of them have been pretty amazing.
My story, I was living and working in Buffalo, New York when that happened.
Sorry.
I was working at a health club. I was out of the broadcasting business for a spell, and I was working at a health club. We had a gym full of people. Everybody was watching the game, and you could hear a pin drop. And then I went out that night, and I'm on Chippewa Street. And I mean, the bars are packed. It's Saturday night, but nobody's saying a word. Everybody's just sitting there looking off into space. It was the most, I didn't have a dog in the fight. I just thought it was an incredible game and an incredible moment. But it was just one of the most surreal things I'd ever seen.
Well, what was interesting from the standpoint of our organization and the people who had worked for us for a long time is they thought it was payback for earlier in the decade when they blew the 35-3 lead.
That's right.
For those of us who were newer to the team, I watched that game on television.
So as did I.
I fell asleep, and when I woke up, suddenly it went from 35-3 to 35-31. It's like what's just happened?
Right.
But so the Buffalo people, they remember the comeback, and this was sort of the payback for that. I didn't have a dog in that fight because I wasn't with the organization at the time, but there's a tremendous history, and then Mr. Adams and Mr. Wilson with their AFL history, and it was a whole thing, and still is to anybody who is from Buffalo. And I don't try not to rub it in.
We got a little over a minute left in this segment. What is the one positional area, maybe not of concern, but the one you'll be watching this year at Titans training camp?
Secondary.
Okay.
Everybody thinks it's offensive line.
Yeah.
And we will be watching the offensive line, but I want to see how the secondary comes together. I think the talent's there. I think getting Jason McCourty back is huge for this football team. And Jason was really healthy right at the end of the regular season, and so he got to start the offseason program very quickly. I want to see the battle at the other corner. I want to see who wins the safety job. Is it Rashad Johnson? Or is it?
We had him on our Sunday night show. I tell you, we were very impressed with him. He's an impressive young man.
He's big time. But
5 interceptions last year.
But the Byard kid is, and don't forget a guy like Marqueston Huff, a guy like Damian Stafford. I mean, it's a thing. And then who's going to be the nickel? Who's going to be the dime? Who's going to be the nickel linebacker? If the secondary plays up to the level of the front seven on defense, that's going to be a really good defense because that front seven is awfully good.
No question about it. Mike Keith, the voice of the Tennessee Titans. We'll see you at camp. I'm looking forward to it.
We'll see you at camp.
That's right. We'll come back and wrap up the show right after this.